what would you tell a person who is sick? To go to hospital, right?
Yeah.
This is what I would tell an SME who is out there struggling, because I look at them as a patient.
Yeah.
You know, when you're sick and you don't know you're sick, but a person who is looking at you knows you're sick, you really need that doctor.
Yeah.
So I must say that in our industry, experience is very expensive.
Hello, everybody. We are here in another conversation on governance. We are looking at SME, sustainability, this very, very entrepreneurial country that we call the Pearl of Africa is known for companies coming up and mushrooming, especially since, URSB introduced all these ease of doing business in Uganda initiatives. However, we also know that we have a very high infant mortality rate for our companies because they die in their infancy. And one of the things that has been identified as the issue is governance, lack of governance systems, accountability systems, not being prepared enough to absorb financing or to even access it at all. And with me today are members of the finance sector. We have Allan from Goldmine Finance, at an SME that has, I think, done about 14 years, which is a big testimony given our economy. And we have with us also Jonan, Jonakee Investments, who's also in that same sector. How many years now, Jonan?
10 years.
10 years, wow. And with very, very old companies, given Uganda's, history. And today with us, he's also very, very active in the microfinance owners associations, and he's actually the president. And one of the things that we have seen is that even microfinance institutions struggle to give financing to SMEs because of governance issues. So I would like to ask Jonan, just introduce yourself in a line or two.
Thank you so much, Pheona. My name is Jonan Kandwanaho. I'm the team leader, Jonakee Holdings Limited, which is a lending institution. Yes, we lend money, but also by God's grace, I team lead the Money Lender Association of Uganda, which is a conglomerate of all lenders in Uganda.
Yes.
To make the industry get better.
This is where you decide our interests. Yes.
Yes, my name is Allan Tayebwa. I work in a company called Goldmine Finance that has existed now for 14 years. And so I think we are now teenagers.
Teenagers. I am Pheona. I'm the CEO of the Fidelis Institute, Leadership Institute, which is only 4 years old. So we hope that we will last as long as you have. So speaking about governance, we are here having this podcast courtesy of ACLAIM Africa Limited, an institution that has been active since 1995, and it's been helping institutions thrive through ensuring that they're coached, they're through consulting. And one of the things that they're doing right now is an initiative where they actually support the boards of these organizations. So coming to this story of governance, this 14-year-old company, what would you say is the biggest thing that embracing governance systems? And today when we speak about governance, we're not talking about just having a board. We're talking about having systems, being accountable, having checks and balances all through the organization, embracing technology, all these things that we keep talking about. Why are they important? Why would Goldmine Finance, with their little finance, their little seed capital, did you do it at the beginning, in the middle, or at the right now, or is it still complicated?
I think I'll tell you about my journey and how I got to start this whole journey of systems and structure and having a board. So I'd always, given my experience that I finished and immediately started business, I'd never had the experience of working in a structured organization. And that had always caused me to think many questions, because I had dreams, I had a vision where I wanted to go, but I always thought that there is this thing that everyone who is where I want to go, this is what they have around them.
Yes.
And so it always intrigued me, and I would always ask questions. How do you have systems? How do you have structure? What kind of structures do you have? You know, all my friends in the financial industry, in banks, and in different sectors. And so they would always give you these snippets of information. And yes, we were beginning to implement, but I always felt like there was something. To this day, I still believe that I am the liability in the business. Okay? So because of that, I remember I would always meet one of the people in ACLAIM, Alfred, and I would always ask him, how does a board work? What does it do? You know, how will it hold me accountable? Those kind of questions. And so eventually, I remember when they were now, I think that's how, when they are now beginning to conceptualize the concept of renting a board. Because my questions were, how do you select board members? What value do they bring? Can't they fire me from the organization? How do they, all these different things? Then I remember one time, it's when Alfred came and said, we have this thing that we are starting. We have put together a panel of board members who will be in advisory capacity. I immediately said,
yes.
Amen. You know, they say, you say yes and think later. So I started thinking later.
Yes.
Now I can tell you, when I think back at those first steps, even to this day, they still laugh at me. Because from the beginning, when they're telling you, give us a report, I'm thinking,
which report?
Which report? You know, then they tell you, okay, give us this report. And you're saying, how should I send it to you? And you're beginning to craft up the format and then you're appearing alone in the board meeting because you don't trust your team. You don't want them to see certain information, all those kind of things. And this is how I was able to sort of catapult myself into eventually having a fully functioning board.
Wow.
Yes.
That's excellent. Jonan, was Jonakee always getting it right, or?
I must say that, of course, Jonakee was not getting it right. But how that element of the board came along is, you know, I'm a person who thinks, you know, at a certain point, the business should be able to run even when I'm not around.
You're busy.
Yeah. Busy doing some other things.
Yes.
We're traveling, probably farming or somewhere. Someone is running the business. That had always been my dream. As when I learned that ACLAIM had a package called Rent a Board, the first thing that came to my mind was, you know, how does this board work? Because my previous experience in government is that some of the boards were so passive. So I had that thinking of, you know, probably this might not have a very huge impact.
Value.
And that's why even when it was sold to me, I didn't buy it right away. I first halted, to the extent that even when we signed up, after our first meeting with the board, with our management, so we went back and started, you know, assessing. And then some of the managers would say, there's a lot of English here. Of course, because people are used to operational things.
Yes.
Because you see, our industry is very fast-paced. It is operational full throttle. You come in the morning, a few things can actually obstruct you. By just one person defaulting or a few things getting out of order, or probably the caveat has been tampered with or something, the day can turn out different. So we're used to those operational things. Until I learned about, you know, there has to be governance, there has to be structures and all that. And you see, I remember calling after our first meeting, we almost opted out actually.
There's too much English.
What are we doing here?
Yes.
Because also the board I knew different from the government board is for private sector. They were really standing boards which were biting to the extent that even some of the boards would even fire the MD. So it's the same mind I had. You know, they have to be biting. The report has to be like, why results the way they are, something like that. Of course, not firing me. I didn't expect that. But yeah, those elements, which I couldn't even see in the first meeting. But because of our naivety, we thought, you know what, I think this is total waste of time. We had better think about something else.
Failure and loss.
I called one of the guys, one of my mentors. I called him, I said, you know what, this is what is happening. So he asked me a question. He says, Jonan, if you go to date a girl, do you make a decision on the first date? It was a
good question.
It was a very good question. So I thought to myself, no, of course not. You at least push second date, third date, then you can know you're not compatible, probably fourth date. So look, see, so he told me, go ahead, date, and see how things move. So I must say that, long story short, went on the second date, third date, things started getting real.
Yeah.
To the extent that the first time we submitted the report, it was so strange. The report we submitted, structure-wise, financial report, because one of the guys that was sitting on the board had extreme experience in banking. He posed questions. We actually left that board meeting. Our heads were like spinning.
They're spinning.
Spinning. A few things to put together, what. That's when I realized
there's value
for this thing.
Yeah.
That's when I realized actually this thing can turn around Jonakee 100%. Then there's this bit of, we use it to manual marketing. Of, there's marketing on impulse. We hear this is trending. Social media.
So
okay.
You jump for it.
Yeah, you commit 5 million for social media. No strategy, no nothing. Like, you just fall in. They say, buy the online loans also work. They say, then you engage Africa Talking. How much is online loans? You're committing money. Like, suddenly, from nowhere, no plan, no strategy. So our marketing person on the board started telling us, you need a marketing plan. So when that conversation started, in my mind, I thought, now plans, strategy plans. I remembered what happens in most of the institutions. You do a very nice plan, very nice English, things are connecting. Then after finishing the plan that you invested a lot of money
investment, no implementation.
No implementation happens. So I thought to myself, I'm like, I don't think we're about to go that direction. I can't see this plan being put on the shelf. But along the way, I got to learn that, some of the things we had to include in the plan were implementable.
Yeah.
Things you're actually doing, only that you're structuring them, you're committing resources to them, and responsible personnel. So I must say that, the journey has been very interesting, but the start was very strange.
You've answered my other question. I was asking about examples. But Allan, how did your team respond to having outsiders who have no stake, who've not struggled, who've not been in the trenches, coming to speak their English?
I think it is even not, my team was equally, this was a new and strange thing to them, as much as it was strange.
Which year, would you say it happened?
This was the very beginning. I was their very first client.
Okay.
Yes.
At the very beginning of your company?
Of Rent A Board. Okay. I was the first customer of Rent A Board.
Yes.
In 2018 or something like that.
Yeah.
That's when I started with them.
Oh.
And I can tell you, for me, it was more about how I received it. Yeah. Even more than how because the team was responding to how I responded.
Oh, so they were following you.
They were literally following me.
Yes.
And let me tell you, let me give you a funny story.
That means they trust you a lot.
Well, I guess because I was the boss, they almost had no option, right?
But you're lying.
But I can say that as a joke. I hope.
We've got that one. Yeah.
But I can tell you that the way I was responding to the board. And the funny thing, what I'm shocked about is these guys let me be. Because they had to let me be comfortable first.
The board let you be for a while.
Because at first, you'd come in with one person, everyone going to present, they come in, present, go out.
Yes.
Then you're left with the board. And you're thinking, you're just by yourself, right?
Yeah.
But they sort of wanted me to settle in that moment be comfortable. Now, one of the other things that most of my friends would always ask me about...
That's a very important thing that you say, board chemistry. Because sometimes we've seen bad board chemistry destroy organizations. It's important. So I like what that board did for you. And I think it's a message to boards everywhere that sometimes when you're the first board an organization has had, or maybe it's the first time there's a new CEO and things like that, you have to allow for the chemistry to develop. I liked Jonan's, not the first date.
Yeah.
Don't start blasting people on the third date. And pointing out how they're not using the napkin properly.
But also what most people expect about boards is not what they get. Most people expect this board to come with sticks. They are going to be blasting you, assuring you. I think this is a different kind of setting.
Yes.
And the kind of setting is you are bringing yourself before these people. They've not, it's different from another board, which they are real forcing, you're automatically under them.
Yes.
Here you're bringing yourself, meaning you must come with
So
the
in an
knowledge.
SME environment, you have
Yeah.
control
Yes.
over how that relationship
Yes.
is.
And remember, it's advisory. So they're just giving you advice, and it's up to you to take it or leave it. Now, let me tell you, Pheona, if I respect your opinion about the law and I come to have a normal conversation with you, I must be willing to take up a learning point from you. But if I look at you like a colleague, then I will not be able to learn from you. So you must position yourself psychologically to be willing to take advice,
learn.
even as, because I may say something in passing.
Even when you're the expert.
You understand? Yes, you may say something in passing, but because I'm not taking it as the real thing, I expect you to tell me now,
This is
give
the
me
point.
a command.
Yeah.
That's not how it's going to work. It's going to work in that setting that you're seated together as a group and you're saying something in passing and I catch it right there and then.
Okay.
Yes.
So the aspect of boards and systems, I would want to know, how did having a board impact systems in your organizations? In your organization, for instance?
Yeah, it indeed affected our operandi.
Please don't use those
Banang.
terms.
A lot of
We have
English.
SMEs that
We have studied.
some
Okay.
of us, like me,
Let's
are
tone down the
allergic to
English.
numbers. So, yeah.
Yeah, they really have affected our structure.
Yeah.
For example, just like I shared prior, that we didn't have a particular marketing plan, we didn't have a strategic plan. And one fascinating thing, apart from the plans that we got to develop and even implement, because at the end of the day, in every meeting, we would present progress. You have a strategic plan for probably 3 years, and then you have this plan for 1 year.
Yeah.
And then you break it down to quarters in a year. And then for every meeting, which we meet quarterly,
You report.
you report. This is a progress. So one example I'd pick from that line of the structures is there's a time I had a conviction to launch in another country, in Zambia. So in my heart, I was very, very convinced. I'd actually, studied the market and everything. I come before the board, I present the idea. And these guys tell me, you know what, Jonan, we need a board paper.
With projections.
With projections. Then after that, they said we need a white paper, a summary of the board paper. I'm like, wow. And the thing rolled for like a year because they were not convinced. Yes, just like Allan said, they were divisory, but these are the people you're banking on because, they've had a big organization, their experience.
Yes.
So, and also, they didn't have any interest in me failing. So that was the first tick on my side. They had interest in my growth in any case. Until I had to convince them, and they say, you know what, Jonan, I think based on ABCDFG, now we have given you a green light. But first travel there and do ABCD. So I must say that because of that, if it were not for the board,
You would not have. So you launched successfully?
I launched successfully.
Yeah.
But if it was not for the board, I would have launched prematurely.
And died in your movie.
And died in my movie.
Good. So, do you have a similar story?
I like to relate some of these things with real life experiences.
Yeah.
And I imagine earlier on in the African setting, long ago, young people used to get married at very young ages, 15, 18. But majorly, we had fathers ahead of us, grandfathers. It was a communal setting that they almost determine for you how you're going to get married and how you're going to live your life throughout the marriage. The unfortunate thing today is that
we've lost that. Yes.
And even if you get married at 40 or at 30, you're still going to need someone over you.
Yes.
So that's the same thing with business. Whether you start it at 15, when you're just out of university,
Or at 40.
or you start it at 50 when you're retiring, you still need this community over you that is able to help and to really give you some comfort. And I'll tell you, for us, we started off with a board, and we had I don't know if it was even a branch. And then by now we have 3 branches.
Oh, wow.
And we're able to operate. The thing about this,
So where are your 3 branches?
No, in Uganda. We are not yet
No, so still.
in Zambia and wherever. We're still in Uganda.
Yeah.
Now, but the advantage with that is that it gives you freedom to think about growth and about many other things and strategy and structure. How to build towards
because you
the
have
next
all these
phase.
people thinking for you.
Because you're working as a team.
You have a gigantic head.
You're all working, and then you have this whole team, and then the
Yes.
structure, like you say, the board is not just about, governance is not just about the board.
Yes.
It's even internally, how is decision making done
Yes.
to be able to free you, the one at the
to do the
Yes.
hunting.
Yes.
So, looking at that, what would you tell the SME? What would you tell an SME out there that is considering this? What would you tell them? Where should they start?
It's like, what would you tell a person who is sick to go to hospital, right?
Yeah.
This is what I would tell an SME who is out there struggling, because I look at them as a patient.
Yes.
When you're sick and you don't know you're sick, but a person who is looking at you knows you're sick, you really need that doctor before the disease starts to manifest.
So how did you, sorry, I need to ask that. How did you come to I know that you said you had all these questions within you, so when they came, so I'm going to direct this question to Jonan, who had cold feet from the beginning. At what point did you say, I need this, I need oversight?
I must say that from the start, I needed the oversight, but I misinterpreted the oversight at the start. And of course, the mentor was very helpful. But concretely, along the way, how I got to affirm that really the board is very instrumental is when we would get in some of the board meetings and you have over 90% of your portfolio committed to one product.
And then they're saying this is risky.
And they're saying, Jonan, please. So you actually have to hold this product and step up and first see how you can step up another product.
That's excellent.
Which I wouldn't have gotten from anywhere else.
Yes, and you're sounding like one of those companies that are up there in the New York Stock Exchange.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What I also learned is that, our industry is very interesting. Experience is very expensive.
Yes.
Yeah. And I remember when
especially learning by experience.
Learning by experience. I remember one time, I called Allan. One time I was going to do a transaction. So I double checked with him. He says, Jonan, don't transact.
Do that, yeah.
Don't transact. And I thought, but Allan, surely I need money. In my heart.
Cash is there.
So for him, he thought
Was this a gold transaction?
It was a very high-end transaction and a very nice transaction.
Yeah.
I was going to give a Haji 175 million. And he asked me a first thing, is that guy married? I tell him, he told me he's not married. He said, Jonan, don't proceed.
Wow.
Don't give the money. But I went ahead and did what?
Give the money.
Gave the money. And I burnt my hands.
You learned from the school.
Because the Haji was single. Now when it came time for collection, the guy was married. I know it was back and forth. Yeah. So I must say that in our industry, experience is very expensive. So it can even cause the closure of your business.
It's better you learn from someone else.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because someone has actually paid school fees. So why should you also pay school fees?
And that's school fees.
Yeah.
That was some 100 and what? Please do not pay that school fees. Get yourself a board.
So ultimately, I think the board is very handy.
Yes.
But you can't take chances.
Yes, but also I think I want to emphasize the importance of advisors, not just a board per se, but many SMEs will go and borrow money. I always tell people that, you go and borrow 100 million and you can't spare 1 million to get a lawyer to read through the contract because you lost it the moment you started doing what? You can't get 1 million to get an accountant to go through your financials to tell you that this loan you will manage or you will not. You can't get a risk advisor or a tax advisor to tell you that, you're selling this property, but there's capital gains, So what happens is that you now pay school fees. URA comes for you and you pay school fees. So I think it's very important to get godparents for your baby because you might die and they need to be kept on the straight and narrow. But also the very, very important thing is that we are looking at the sustainability of this baby. And from what you're saying, you've grown leaps and bounds. You've grown across borders. You've grown across districts. And this is because you are listening to somebody else. But you said something very important, Jonan, that when you have a board of advisors, it saves you from the school of experience, which is like a school of accidents.
Absolutely.
And I think that's very important. I want you to say one last thing. If it was the last thing that these people remember, what is that thing that you'd tell them about governance, SMEs, and sustainability?
I think one thing to remember is that you can't know that you're ready until you're ready. And waiting to get ready might be very hard.
And expensive.
And very expensive. You don't know how much you'd have lost. Allan was lucky that, he started right away with the board. But I must say that the number of years that I wasted, I call them wasted. Why? Because I was almost like operating informally. Because without that umbrella, you're moving in a fuzzy way.
How many years have you operated with the board now?
I think 3. We are now completing the 3rd year.
3 years, and you've made this much progress.
Yeah.
So yes, you lost time.
I lost time, a lot of it. A lot of it.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of it.
Alan?
A lot of it.
So please avoid losing time.
Yeah, so what I would advise a person out there really is that prevention is better than cure.
Yes.
And a person who gets advisors, let's call them advisors. Calling it a board may make people fear, but get advisors. And once you get advisors, you're beginning to take preventive medicine that will avoid or make you live longer or make your organization live longer than it's already able to live. I can guarantee you, if you do not have any structure or advisors over you, your countdown has started. Your death is preemptive and you're headed towards a funeral service company.
I will give testimony. We had so many banks that mushroomed across East Africa. And I think by 2017, we had lost about 10 in Kenya and about 7 in Uganda, homegrown banks. And right now, they're nowhere to be seen. In fact, people say the ghost of Greenland Bank, And we are here and we are thriving, but with a lot of foreign banks. So I'm very proud that there are 2 SMEs in the financial sector. We are looking at you to be the banks with the success stories. Because Uganda has already paid school fees.
I think you're now pastor, prophet.
Yes.
Pheona.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. It's been fantastic with ACLAIM Africa Limited bringing you the podcast on governance and sustaining organizations. And we've been with Allan from Goldmine Finance and with Jonan from the SME world, especially the microfinance owner money lenders. Oh, I need to do the Money Lenders Association of Uganda. He's the president, but he's also the founder of Jonakee Holdings Limited. And one of the things that we've learned from them is that for you to prepare for success, for you to avoid costly accidents and experiments, please embrace advice, embrace accountability, embrace governance. It's been Pheona Wall. Thank you very much.